So I was under the false pretenses that energy was somehow something you could capture in a little bottle and unload when one sees fit. So the problem with that idea was that I thought that there was a fix. There was something that I could introduce into my body, and somehow magically I could become a superhero in terms of my energy expenditure. And obviously, I naturally leaned into diets, especially diet. I was very neurotic about that. And I thought to myself that if I ate perfectly and never cheated on any meals, that somehow I was going to become superhuman in terms of my energy. And I can tell you from experience, I was vegan for 8 years, and that definitely helped me for a little while. But towards the end of it, didn't really make much sense. But I came to the realization that there was nothing that I was going to be able to introduce into my body that was going to move the needle in the direction that I thought it would. And there's not a diet that could do that for you. Yes, you could dial it in. Yes, you could try to eat healthy. Yes, you can prioritize protein and whole foods and seasonal and organic and things of that nature. You want to do that, absolutely. The other thing is you're looking at energy in the wrong way. And unfortunately, what I used to do was think that I somehow would just magically wake up and then energy would just be there for me to tap into. But the thing is, you need to create energy. Energy, in this case, is spiritual. It's something that's within you already. It's something that you externalize. It's not something that you have to input in order to output, you know? And I think that's the difference is that if you look at energy as something that you can somehow manufacture externally and then somehow make that a part of you, it's just not gonna be what it is if you think that you're just gonna wake up and somehow magically turn into something different. That's just not how it works. um, and let me give you some examples. I mean, because this is the thing, how do you tap into that spirit, right? What does it look like? And the thing is, you have to understand, you have to conjure up an enemy, you have to have an adversary, you gotta have resistance to something. I think that's where you first start. And a prime example of this is the immigrant. So the immigrant is an interesting sort of a metaphor, right? Because they are geographically uprooted and brought somewhere else, and they have to start anew. They have to begin fresh. So there's this immediate rush. There is adrenaline pumping sort of drive to get out there and make something, right? Make something of yourself. Carve out a space. Dudes that eat greasy shit for breakfast, that drink monsters, sleep in a trailer, or get no sleep at all. They don't care about macros and outputs, and they're not worried about an optimizing routine. These dudes are just like living for the day, and it's all energy. It's all from the gut. It's all from the fact that they have a frame of reference of something else that was a lot more difficult, and they have a new opportunity to make something different, something new, something better than where they came from. And I think a lot of us in the first world, right, especially if you're in North America, is we've been we've been conditioned to enjoy the comforts, right, of modernity. And unfortunately, that's been a handicap because it doesn't allow us to push past that comfort. It's become sort of a clutch. And I think that's what's stopping a lot of guys from pushing past that, right? Is that you're just comfortable enough to just kind of exist in sort of like this purgatory, this middle ground, this sort of vanilla template, if you will, of life. And if you're happy with that, then so be it, right? But if you're someone that says, I want more energy, I need more energy, it's something that I crave, it's something I desire, it's something that I expect from myself, like I did, then you're in the right place. You found the right video. Because let me tell you, I was not what you see now. Because this is the thing, I I started really taking serious that I was like, what is going on? Like, why am I so lazy? Why am I so unmotivated? And like I said, once you fix your diet, your sleepy patterns, and then you still feel like you still don't have a drive, you still don't have the capacity to get out there and do something, then that's when you really have to start taking honest stock of your spirit and your psychology. And like I said, I was a lazy guy. I used to take naps after drinking Monster. I was addicted to Monster at one point, taking naps. I mean, that's what would happen. I would put off everything for tomorrow. I was that guy. And like I said, the reality was I didn't have a reason to really change my circumstances, and that was a big part of it. Was that I was comfortable um, with my position. That's really what it came down to. I was totally immersed in the fact that I was mediocre at best, and I fell for that, right? And ultimately, this does count down to your inner monologue, right? What's the narrative that you're having with yourself? What type of self talk are you having on a daily basis with yourself? That is super important. Um, so besides that part, I think at the end of the day, you have to understand that as a man, you're wired to produce. So whatever it is that you want to lean into, whatever it is that you want to produce, that's what's gonna whip you up into a frenzy. And I think once I realized that energy was all internal, it was all combustible, right? It was all what I had inside of me, the fire that I had, right? That desire. Like I said, I manufactured enemies everywhere, and anything that was walking, I just looked at it and was like, this dude doubts me, or this person has misgivings about my capacities, and that was a driving force for certain. And so, if that's gonna be what helps you spring forward and have some momentum, then so be it. Even if you think that um, that negativity or that friction may be a little bit uncomfortable, it is until you realize that it's what's gonna make you get to the next step, right? And and for me, that was a difficult thing to kind of overcome because I was so against being uncomfortable. I was so against the tension of having to deal with people and maybe perhaps disappointing them or getting into firefights in terms of conversation. That part was always uncomfortable for me. But then when I leaned into it, oh man, did I really just fall in love. And sometimes I would purposely, maybe not purposely, but I definitely found a thrill in getting into situations and seeing how I could get myself out of it, like a magician, trying to have a way with words, and that sort of, once I kind of got into the game like that and saw the competitive spirit that I had inside of me, I knew that I could do this and execute this in a lot of different realms. And so start there, all right? Start with what is going to give you the energy to get out of it. And like I said, it is all spiritual, it's all psychological, and the body will follow. Plenty of times I don't want to do things, and that's exactly when you're supposed to do things. And that's the battle, right? That's the battleground. That's the firefight. Is mainly with yourself. It's mainly with the walls that you put up in your own mind. And once you can pull out of that, right? Get out of that mindset. Get out of it. I think everything comes easy from there. Everything is downstream from that. And like I said, once you dial in the diet, things of that nature, and make sure you're hydrated and whatnot, yes, those things can move the needle a little bit here or there, but nothing like the spirit, nothing like tapping in internally and seeing that that's the closest thing you can get to God is your energy, right? And look, and I forgot where the quote was from, but it was something along the lines that the world belongs to the energetic, and it really is that way, right? The person that moves the fastest, that turns the corner the quickest, that has less self-doubts than the other person, is the one that gets the furthest. um, so many incompetent goofballs, the reason that they can get so far is not because they're not smart, but because they don't think about it, right? It doesn't matter how sloppy the work is, they just get it done. And I think sometimes when people are too intelligent, they're too much into the brain, right? They're too much into that part of it, right? But this is all just internal. It's the spirit, and it's the spirit within you, and that, like I said, is the closest thing that you have to God, right? That relationship, and that's what God gave you. It's the intangibles. It's the immaterial. That's what you have to run away with. That's what you have to take into account. That is what that is your essentially your gift from God, but that's the gift that you have to be able to give to the world. the things that you're able to manufacture and produce from that is really the ultimate sort of prize for all of us. So, with that said, I hope you understand that energy is spiritual, and I'll see you in the next one.